It is episode 69.
Nice.
So you want me to say, so the gimmick we're going here is Zach's not
It's
here.
supposed to be a special
It's a special episode.
But Zach's not here. Wait, what are we doing? Is it's supposed to be a special episode because Zach's not here? Or it's a special episode because Zach's not here?
No, it's a special episode, but Zach's not here.
Okay.
We're not having a special episode because he's not here.
I know. That's what I mean. No, we're not doing that. It would be a special episode, but Zach's not here. This might end up in the show.
Why don't you go ahead? Why don't you do it?
Because
you seem to know what you want.
You do it. Just do what feels right. Go with your heart.
Rob, this is what it looks like every time we
Well,
try to start
all right.
an
Now this
episode.
can't go in the show. It was supposed to be a surprise.
All right. So depressed that Zach's not here. All right. I have to pretend to be sad about that. I don't know how you want to do this.
Just do it how it feels right. I'll play off of you.
All right. I'm depressed.
Why are you depressed, Ryan?
I'm really sad.
Or how sad are you? Why sad?
This is our 69th episode,
Nice.
Matt. Yeah, it is nice. But look who's not here.
The Muffin Man.
Yeah,
Who
well,
lives on Drury Lane?
yeah, but other person's not here. Who else is not literally right across from you?
Zach.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, yeah, Zach.
Were you not expecting me to get that right?
I thought you were going to drag that on
Well,
for too
so
long.
Ryan,
Zach's not
how
here.
does it make you feel that Zach's not here?
I don't know. He's like the baby boy of the group.
So
I
you'd
thought
say it
he would
makes
be
you
here.
sad?
Yeah, it makes me. I just said it made me
Well,
sad.
okay. Do you want to be happier?
Yes.
Well, believe it or not, I brought someone to be friends with you in Zach's place.
Who?
Well, let me tell you about him. His name is Rob, otherwise known as NotRobMay. Believe it or not, he streams on Twitch, Pokemon Go, D&D, and he has a podcast called Omnic Lab where he talks about Overwatch. Do you want to hear his voice?
I do.
Do you?
Yes.
Do you? Do you, boy? Do you want to hear his
Can I
voice?
just say, I've never seen you move your eyebrows that much.
No,
No, you were like really getting into it.
I
You're like,
was. You want to introduce yourself, Rob?
Greetings, mortals. Welcome.
He's coming in hard.
already seems better than us at this.
I mean, he's
There
got
are many other facts that
200
we
more
could state
episodes
that would
we do?
also be true.
What's up, guys?
Hi, Rob.
How's it
Hey.
going?
Pretty good. It's a nice, spicy Sunday morning. About 45
Or
minutes late
Saturday
waiting on
night.
somebody that's not going to actually show up, so that's always fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's
The-
Saturday night here.
yeah.
Old Saturday night. What's that?
Saturday night with the boys.
Playing with the
Open up
boys.
a cold one right off the bat, right into the microphone.
I put mine too far away.
Mon's
but
hair.
I,
Mom's hair.
this is even a special episode because we have video format now.
We do.
We got a video.
But you know what makes this episode even specialer?
What?
Bad
It is
grammar.
Episode 69.
Nice.
Do you have a nice on your soundboard?
Nice.
And the audience isn't going to hear it. I will splice that in, actually, because that one is worth it.
Oh, nice. Oh, this is a different territory for us because we normally like talk about movies and television, but now we've got a guest who knows everything about gaming that I don't know. So
Rob
I feel
knows
like-
everything. Full stop. Correct?
I mean, I didn't say it.
I mean, he did say before the show that he is better than me in every regard. I believe that's how you said it, right?
This is also a true statement.
Oh boy. Well, first of all, Rob, thanks for coming. We really
Yeah, of
appreciate
course,
it. I know.
of course.
I think I've thanked you 4 or 5 times since.
Thank me.
Why do I thank you?
Thank me.
No.
Okay.
I mean, it
Like,
could be
he's the
better. I
one that-
wouldn't have to see Jan for this, or rather Matt. I wouldn't have to see Matt. It would have been better without the visual, but, you know, we can just put some tape on my
Just do
screen. It'll be
this.
fine.
Yeah. It's easy. Here you go. I can cover his face. I can just sit here the whole time.
It's okay, guys. I got enough beard for both of you.
That's hurtful.
I
That's
shaved
hurtful.
mine this week, so I'm like been debearded.
Coward.
I've
Coward,
been this-
dude.
Coward.
That stuff is so bad. I get kids that just stare. They're like, "How do you have anything more than 2 hairs underneath your nose?" Like, The Japanese do not have a lot of people that have a lot of bearded structures, and they have like many things in their I wouldn't say culture, just kind of like how it is. But women here do not necessarily like men with beards and or mustaches or any facial hair like at all. They're like, why do you have anything on your face? Take it off.
Well, I was going to assume it's the fact that that you look American walking around on your phone playing Pokemon Go, probably looking like a tourist. That's probably what really makes them stare at you.
I mean, if you think that I look like a tourist, then you're kind of mistaken because the majority of like 60 plus individuals here play the game.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is heavily played. Except all of my locals now are in their cars, hiding away and driving between areas of grinding so that they can get the shinies that they want. Just because of the virus, they don't want to be out and about. I mean, there's a family of like 2 or 3 boys, a mother and a father, all grinding this one spot together the other day, and then there was an older couple in their 60s that I said hello to, and I was gonna ask to see if we could do some trades and stuff, but they didn't really seem too interested. One of the guys is very reserved, and then I lucky traded, or I didn't lucky trade. I lucky friends one of the trainers I met like 4 months ago.
Okay,
and
so
it was
before
pretty
you
cool.
go further,
Yeah.
Elevator pitch on Pokemon Go and lucky trading.
Oh, I mean, you're taking
Because
my
elevator
jokes away
pitch?
from me.
Okay, wait.
I had like 4
Ryan
jokes.
had Ryan
I had
has
like
jokes.
4 jokes lined up.
We'll put a pin in the elevator pitch.
They're not
Ryan,
jokes.
commence with the
well,
joking.
The thing I was gonna ask most is like you're saying you're trading with people on the street, right? Like just random people.
I mean,
Is
they're
it
not
just, like,
random
random
people.
people?
You'd meet people that are also happen to play the game, so you do have some
Well,
kind
that's
of
what I mean.
common ground.
But it's not. But that's what I say. It's not just people that like
go up to the
you've
gas
you've
station,
always
like,
Mugged the
known.
guy and took his
Hey, the
Pikachu.
Pokemon.
I'm just saying, is it people? It's people that play the game.
He's
It's not
65
just
of the
like-
steal his Pikachus. It's like
The
not
po-
like
the point
real
that-
life Team Rocket over here.
the point that I'm trying to make is the fact that you guys already sound nicer than we are here in the States.
Well, that
Because I
doesn't
feel
take
like if
much.
I would walk around and ask someone, like just walk up, see someone on their phone and ask like, hey, you got a Pikachu you want to trade? I feel like I get punched by like 4 people around that person.
Well,
just for
usually
being nice.
events are kind of centrifugal around like an area. So if there's a relatively good grinding spot, you'll be able to tell before the event takes place. That's kind of where people go, at least in their free time here and there, to go spin Pokestops to get items. Usually you get more Pokeballs or stuff that you can catch more stuff, right? So if I go there after work for like, I don't know, like less than an hour, I can spin a stops on a 5-minute rotation because they reset every 5 minutes. So you can just like, if you got a whole 5-minute route, that's the best. But I don't, because I finish my route and then I end up having about 2 minutes or 3 minutes of downtime because I can walk and I don't have enough density where I can spin stops at every point all the way around the route. I will pretty much be able to spin stops for a good chunk of the route and then have kind of a dead space to go fetch 2 or 3 others at the edge of the route. But some people have got like these really cool singular roads. Like I know that one of the guys that is a streamer, or 2 of the guys that are streamers, live relatively close to each other. One's in Sydney and one's in Adelaide. I guess it's not close, but they have very similar styles of grinding spots, like near like a beach. It's very similar. There's one in California, I think, that has this, but it's pretty much just a long straightway with stops all along the way. So by the time you've walked for 5 minutes, if you park it for a minute, by the time that you walk back 2 minutes, then you have the whole thing reset and you just walk a little bit further and hit more all the way back, and you can catch the whole way. And you're pretty much never running out of Pokeballs. And then you've got the other side of people that will buy their houses near stops. So they can literally they can get one of these things called a gacha, or you can get a Pokeball Plus or something. There's all these little kind of things that connect via Bluetooth that will just automatically spin stuff for you or automatically catch stuff.
Well, before I get into like the rest of the stuff that I have to talk about, like we'll go back to what Matt said about like the elevator pitch.
Okay, elevator pitch.
Pokemon Go, the lucky trading you mentioned, and Pokestops, since you touched on all of those. Just a quick description of what they are for anyone listening who might not know.
Okay, so elevator pitch. Pokemon Go is kind of a little bit behind the main series games. of Pokemon. If you like Pokemon, then it's kind of the same generic thing. You catch Pokemon, you profit. It's like it's fun. If you want to catch Pokemon, and that's the primary mechanic, then Pokemon Go does it better than anything because its whole thing is about collecting.
Now
I watched a little girl get hit by a car trying to play Pokemon Go. It was like I sound like I'm laughing, but it's like nervous, sad laughing.
Why did you wait until now to bring that up?
Because that was one of the jokes. I forgot it, then I remembered it.
So
and I found it.
for further clarity, Pokemon Go is a mobile game, so you don't need to buy a Nintendo, whatever the thing is these
Nintendo
days.
Switch.
It is
Sure,
free to
or
play.
DS or whatever, free to play, and it's augmented reality. So
The augmented reality
walk
has
around.
been relatively suppressed by certain features, like you can turn it off, you can play without it because it does eat the crap out of your battery. But there is something really nice that has been discovered in the game that is not very well known called quick catching. So if you're very hardcore into the game, you can realize that not only can you turn the AR off, but you can use two different methods of quick catching, one with AR off and one with AR on, and you can reduce the time to catch things by over half. And once you've done that, if you switch to the AR version where you're using your camera, you can reduce that time by half again. It's that fast.
Jeez.
Wow.
So you can,
pro strats here.
well, I mean, just to give you an idea, I was out and about because we had a community day yesterday, right? Started at 11 and ends at 5. They've extended them due to the coronavirus because a lot of people are not going out. They are playing from home with like what's called an incense that like will attract Pokemon to you. And then you have, of course, anytime that you've picked up the game and you kind of repeat these occurrences of where you might be appearing, they have set up the game as some sort of recognition as to where your house is or where you're spending the most time on the map. And they'll give you something called house spawns. So throughout the day, you'll get some spawns at that location. You'll also get a daily spawn that always happens once a day near where you boot up the game for the first time in that day. So I was out grinding for about 6 hours yesterday, right? Out and about. And during that 6 hour period, if people are curious for relative numbers of my grinding spot, I think I got close to 30 shiny variants of the Talonflame Community Day or Fletchinger. So I got 30 shinies. I think I got a little over 800 catches in 6 hours.
Wow.
And then because I had 100% uptime with Lucky Eggs, which double your XP, and the event was a 3 times catch experience boost, I got over 4 million experience yesterday.
So by my math, that is 2 Pokemon a minute. I think.
Somewhere that sounds close. That sounds close.
I mean,
Sounds
it's going to be
close.
pretty heavy depending on when I get to locations where the clusters are. I'll be catching way faster than that. But yeah,
That's
Jeez.
wow,
there's a lot of
that's
downtime when the lures aren't down. Like I could definitely have gotten more if I would have stayed closer to the lures or done other things. But I was grinding to maintain maximum like reduction of using my resources. So by the end of the day, I would only have lost a total of about maybe 350 balls net rather
And
than...
with this game, you can still when you catch these Pokemon, you can still battle, right? Do you still battle other players
Yes.
too?
So the PvP system is kind of relatively new in the game.
Okay.
Even though we're in season 7, the first like 5 seasons were very abbreviated. They're very short. They've been doing these things in the game. There's kind of 3 pillars of the game. You've got fast moves, and you've got charge moves, and you've got switches. And it's a 3. The way that the current online play works is called the Go Battle League. Okay, so there's 3 different formats within the Go Battle League. The CP value of a Pokemon is kind of like their combat powers, what the CP stands for.
Okay.
The Pokemon have the same level caps as the players. So every player can level up to 40. That was kind of the generic thing up until about this year. They released the level 50 with the new year. So they had a whole new system that they've rolled out. They're also slowly adjusting it and fine-tuning it, of course, because it's kind of bad right now. But, you know, it's fine. It's new. They haven't figured it out yet. All the players are complaining enough to get their way, or at least the adjustments that they're looking for, and it's just slow. But it's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, we're gonna keep complaining about it because it's the only way they're gonna freaking pay attention to us. So, whatever. But
Isn't that true for every game?
yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
So anyways, the combat power can get you, like, as a trainer can get to 40, and so all of the Pokemon can get to 40 as well. But you have to spend resources like Candy and Stardust to get there. Once you get the Pokemon to 40, they're referred to as maxed out. Now, not every Pokemon has the same values, right? They don't have all the same stats. They don't have the same power. They also don't have the same defensive stats. It's kind of how the game can diversify, right? And then once you get to level 40, then you unlock all of the level 50 stuff. So all of your Pokemon can now achieve level 50. You have to start getting a separate resource called XL Candy to get them there. And not all the Pokemon can get there. So in the leagues, this is where things start getting interesting. Because not only are all the Pokemon different variants of combat power and other things, but in their system, not all of the Pokemon even can achieve the same level of combat power. So for example, we use Mewtwo and Pikachu, right? So Mewtwo, very, very powerful Pokemon. That thing at level 40 can get over 4,100 CP. I believe that if it's got 100% of its stat product, it can get maxed out at 40, can be about 4178, somewhere around there. But if you do a Pikachu and you max that thing all the way out to 40, it's only going to get to like 700 CP.
Wow. Okay.
So it's significantly
still based on the
weaker.
rarity. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like a Republican senator. I'm asking all these questions. Like, how do you block the candy? How does this hurt my children?
So
So-
but I thought candy was unhealthy.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that Mewtwo is innately better than something else, because the leagues will dictate certain other parameters of restrictions. So each of the leagues,
I saw that one movie, and Mewtwo really did those Pokemon in that one.
Yeah, but all it took was crying.
yeah, but at least Ash punched him, right?
True.
That's true. That did happen.
Ash got murked in that movie.
Oh yeah, he
That's
got
all I
yeeted.
remember.
That was the first issuance of anime yeeting.
He got sent
That
to the
film
Shadow
tricked me,
Realm.
though. I thought if I cried,
Yeah.
it would bring back the people I love. Anyone that died, I thought if I cried, it would bring back my grandpa.
expect
It
you to
didn't-
cry for
It
me.
didn't happen.
Yeah.
I expect you to cry for me, Ryan.
Well, if it's
Now.
anything like my grandparents,
command.
it didn't work. It didn't work, so it's not going to
It'll
work
work
for
for
you.
me. I'll bring myself back.
That's a joke. My grandparents are still alive,
Oh.
so technically it worked. If you cry on your loved ones' corpses, they'll bring them back to life. That's a promise. I guarantee. Don't
Okay,
sue me for
so
that.
you heard it here first. If you cry over your loved one's corpse and they don't come back, you can sue Ryan.
As long as they turn to stone, it has to turn to stone. If that doesn't work, then
All right, so if they run into a Medusa, you can cry over them, and Ryan
Or a
guarantees
gargoyle.
you can bring them back.
Or
Or
a
a gargoyle.
Also a pretty good
Gargoyle.
90s TV show.
Gargo- How'd you say that?
Gargoyle. Or a basilisk.
Okay, basilisk counts. Yeah. Is it the Dark Souls basilisk or
No, Harry
the
Potter.
Harry Potter? Okay.
Come on, dude, read a book.
But did they turn to stone in Harry Potter?
Only if you looked at it not directly in its eyes.
I thought all that happened was they just became paralyzed.
It's the same idea.
Well,
But you can't look at it. You have to look at it in a mirror in a puddle. or something.
Petrification is up for discussion.
But trees can be petrified.
Rob, that's what you're here for. Tell me the difference. Does it still count as turning to stone if you just...
Don't look to me to bail you out.
I thought you said you were here to be my friend.
I thought Rob knew everything.
I was here to be my own friend. See, I'm just supporting where Zach's supposed to be. I don't think he's really that great of a
Well,
friend,
if
right?
anything,
I gotta fill the shoes accurately because he's late 45 minutes and not showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait. Shows
I mean,
up
I
late
will throw
45
shade at you,
minutes.
Zach, if you're listening to this because you deserve it.
Zach didn't listen. I guarantee it.
I bet he
You're
does.
probably right.
I'll take that bet.
Well, I think I'm the only one that listens to this. You have to technically,
Yeah, I
because
do.
you edit
Yeah.
it, but I didn't think you listened to the
Yeah.
whole thing. Rob, you
Yeah.
have to listen to this and tell us when it releases. When is this releasing? We'll talk about it later.
Yeah. So other than
that
Pokemon
note.
Go, you stream something else, don't you?
Yeah.
You want to tell us about it? Or?
No.
Okay. We'll move on. You guys know what episode this is?
69.
69. Nice.
Schwiggity schwig. Yeah. See, now you have to put that in.
I know.
Every time
I
that
should
one-
I should have had him. I should have had you leave those.
Ba-
those in
the
there.
good thing is, This is like that test run. We're test running what it's
Yeah.
going to sound like when I get access to the board to do.
I mean,
all the noises.
it's
Okay.
we've had COVID for like over a year now. We're pretty accustomed to beta testing literally everything at this stage because nothing's fully released during this time.
yeah.
Everyone's
Oh,
like, now
man.
listen, we're in a pandemic, so you're not going to get the full version of the game.
You gotta pay for it with that money you're not getting by not working.
Have you seen Cyberpunk? Yeah, we don't want to do that.
I paid for that game
Ooh.
twice.
Too soon.
Paid for
Did
it
you
twice.
really?
Mm-hmm. I bought it on PlayStation 4, but then I was like, well, I hear it's bad, so I'll go try it on PC. It was okay. I had a problem where trees just would start to like trees were kind of like the overlay of all of the other footage. So like if you do like the street kid, at one point this old man, like you get into his like car and you
Oh, yeah?
drive. Yeah, because he's like taking you to your next job. And
Oh
like,
yeah?
yeah. So like if
Sounds
you
like the
look
intro
at
to a
it,
horror flick.
yeah. So like if
Yeah.
you look
Or
at
another
him,
kind of film.
the car
Episode 69, guys. Nice.
I don't even know what was I saying.
Something about getting
the
an old
Before you
man's
get out of
car.
the car, the
trees.
old man says,
Yeah. I can't wait. Someday. Someday. I thought that was that noise that he just made. I thought that was also one. I was like, I thought you just accidentally.
It's not that comprehensive.
Listen,
like,
I
how
have to
many
hit the
buttons do you
I don't
have?
I don't have planning for throat clearing from my soundboard.
So, okay, wait. So an old man picked you up to go do a
like,
job for
you
him.
basically the point is like you'd be driving down the road and like in the discussion with this old man, you could look at the camera, look at him, and just as he's driving, like a miniature tree would just fly across the street and just constantly fly. And then it turns out what you have to do is you have to like go back to your oldest graphics card up like firmware and then update again. So like the first time the game updates,
Oh my god.
it decides that version that you have of your graphics card doesn't count. So basically, by the time I had figured out, I was like, I guess I'm gonna play this on PC. I forgot to do the PlayStation thing. So technically, I paid twice for a game that I.
So
haven't
wait, let
played.
me break down this logic for you really quick.
Don't.
Ryan here bought a game on PlayStation and heard, oh, this might be bad. I'm gonna buy it again.
No, I played it on PlayStation. It was bad, so I was like, well, maybe PC's where it's at.
So
Maybe
let me just interject for if I can here. So if you're a
Go
game
for
developer out there and you're making a new game, just talk to Ryan for 10 minutes and he'll buy your game twice on accident.
Probably. I'm already gonna do it with Overwatch, and I only gonna play it on PC. I did it.
The other thing is also
I did
true.
it for Overwatch.
Have you ever had talked with your friends? You're like, how does this game have any sales? Right?
Yeah.
If you're like, how does this game make any money? Stuff like this happens all the
Yeah,
time.
because
Like, I don't
because
think Ryan's case is that unique, to be honest with
I'm
you.
not. Oh, I guarantee I'm not. I know. I have spent. I'm the kind of guy that like. I have that fear of missing out syndrome.
Oh,
So like I'll be playing like a mobile game, like, and it's always an EA game. So like this latest one of the Star Wars games there.
All
I,
right,
like,
well,
drop-
we know what trail we're on and down. We're talking
Yeah.
about
So
EA.
like, so I just like, yeah, everyone says I should throw money at it. And even I will be like, yeah, let's not throw money as I'm secretly chucking my wallet. Like,
Yeah, we should
over
not open up
crowd.
the can of worms to get you into Pokemon Go because that's not going to be a good place for you.
no.
No. But I'm better now. I'm more
Are you?
I'm more at peace with my wallet.
This is not an AA
Are you?
meeting. You don't have to lie to us, okay?
Well, that's why I have Hot Toys now. Now I'll just put $200.
Yeah.
Now I
$300
just
on
spent all
Hot
of
Toys.
my hard-earned dollars on figurines to collect dust in glass cases.
Be careful. He got real existential about this a couple episodes back.
And immediately changed my mind.
Yeah.
After the episode aired.
He did.
Yeah. So I
Wait,
did
are you
with
saying that I'm
Overwatch.
going to be inducing depression by hanging out with you?
You don't have
guys?
to-
You
No,
can't.
You don't have to do
Probably your
depression. It's already
success.
there.
Your success will probably drive me to depression. That's probably about it.
Yikes.
But that's how it's supposed
Well,
to
this is
work.
unintended.
Listen,
Full
no,
disclaimer: we
your
do not
suc-
induce depression as a willful task during this podcast. Okay, you want to be
Listen.
depressed? That's your own damn problem. That's
This
not
sounds
mine.
like a disclaimer.
Well,
It's supposed to
listen.
be a disclaimer. That stuff is serious.
Hey man, if your success makes me depressed, be like, I want that, then it's going to push me. That my depression's either going to push me upwards to try to be successful, and I'm going to get there, or it's going to push me down under the ground, and then
Did Ryan just threaten suicide?
no, I would never.
I'm
kill
not your
myself.
therapist.
Ryan, don't
I
kill
just played
yourself or
video
I'll kill
games
you.
and wanted to talk. I didn't know what the hell I was signing up for.
Damn. Rob immediately regrets this coming on this podcast.
Rob, do you have another subject you'd like to
Zach,
talk
do
about?
you have to talk about therapy too? I just want to know.
That's why he's our straight man. That's here to laugh, make people laugh.
Yep.
I'm here to make you wonder what you're doing with your life, and then Zach's here to tell you about how the, Republican stuff. That's what he does. He's a political figure.
Okay.
He's a future
Wow, this
political
podcast
figure.
sounds terrible. Why didn't you
It
remove
is.
Zach sooner?
And you're wondering why we don't have viewers. That's why we have you here.
Easy replacement.
We're here to ride your coattails now because we realize Matt and I don't have any coattails.
Oh, okay, I see how it is.
Speak
Oh.
for yourself.
Sure.
I'm famous.
Check
I
is in
almost
the
streamed
mail.
today, believe it or not.
You almost streamed today?
I did.
When was the last time you streamed?
2 months ago.
Yep. Okay. Talk to me later.
It's later, Ryan. Can I talk to you now?
No.
Rob, talk
I did
about
that with
something
Overwatch.
else.
Oh, that's right.
So you guys, we had talked on the back end a little bit before
go on,
planning
Ryan.
to talk about D&D because that's what I streamed, and
Yeah,
Jan has
I
got
was-
a lot of experience with Dungeons and Dragons.
Go on.
Yeah.
Rob's waiting to talk, but you go ahead.
No, he's the guest. Let the guest talk.
Okay.
No one cares about me. Well, they do, but Rob, talk, please. D&D, what's up? What about it?
Is that what we're going with? It's his choice, not yours. Don't coerce him.
What are we doing?
I don't know.
This is why the show goes off the rails. This is why we can't have a script because we can't stick to it. That's just
And
messing
Jan and
up.
Ryan
Rob.
currently have some very large spades and are digging 2 separate holes at the same time.
Welcome, Rob. Truth is, Rob, this is not the episode. This is just our all hands.
This is the prequel.
Yeah. This
Are
is
you going
all
to pull
hands
Star
for-
Wars on me?
No. We don't need to talk about Star Wars anymore.
Well,
As
I
I
mean,
found out.
Matt and I talked a little bit ahead of time about just talking about Dungeons and Dragons at some point during the scope of this.
I would like to hear about it because we all played. Well, we all played it at least.
Yeah, Matt and I have had some pretty fun discussions because we used to play together in a campaign that had 5 time zones.
5 time zones.
So, for example, Matt was the U.S. resident. My wife and I and one of the other players were in Japan. Our dungeon master was in New Zealand, and one of the other players was in Sydney.
Oh wow. Oh my. How did you guys sync up? At what time did everyone have to play?
Matt
Matt,
was
what time did you
up
have to
at
play D&D?
ungodly hours of the
I
morning
believe
to
I
try
had to
to
wake
make it
up
work.
at 4:30.
4:30.
Sorry if I wasn't talking there and I was supposed to. I couldn't. My audio broke and I couldn't figure out what
That's
happened.
okay.
But it's fixed now.
Well, he was explaining to me that you guys had when you guys did D&D together, like
Yeah.
everyone was on like 5 different time zones
Yeah.
in one Zoom call,
Yeah.
like a Google meeting.
It was rough. I would have to get up at, I believe it was 4 or 5 in the morning on Saturdays, depending on.
Dungeon
on
Master
daily
started
savings
at
time.
midnight.
Yeah, it was
Oh.
brutal,
See, I would love
but
to,
it was fun.
I would have
miss
loved
it.
to be a part of stuff like that, but I feel like that would just kill me. I would just
Yeah,
Yeah, it turns out 5 time zones is a bit much,
yeah,
unless they're relatively close together.
yeah. Other side of the world is when things start to
'Cause
kind of fall apart.
Once Jan had to finally decide that it was like this is we'll just put it more comedically because it's a comedy podcast. God damn it. Once I had put more hours into Jan's character than he did, and he finally got the hint that it's probably a good idea for him to not try to say that he was going to try to make it. Then
that
we
would do
removed him from the group forcibly, legally.
Little do they
and-
know, I'm still in the channel.
It's
Fine.
because I can't get rid of him. Gosh.
You didn't hear that, right, Rob?
Yeah, I didn't know you were in there.
I said you didn't hear that.
Wait, what?
You didn't hear what I
sounds
said.
like you didn't hear it. Moving
What,
on.
hear what?
Move on. You didn't hear it. Move
I
on.
didn't hear what.
You're right. Move on.
I got to. I think what.
I can
2
do this
years
joke all
ago-
day.
I can't do.
Um,
Do
but,
what joke?
like,
Do what joke?
Oh my.
Ryan, what were you saying?
This show.
Ryan.
sucks.
Ryan.
Well, I think 2 years was my first time ever playing D&D ever. Whenever we had our
That was 3 years ago.
Oh
But
my!
yeah, it was a while ago.
That was the first time I ever played D&D, and I couldn't really take it serious like the way that you're supposed to, because I made a joke character. Because at the same time, that Knuckles character, the Knuckles,
God.
was super popular. So I just made that character in D&D, and I did the voice and stuff. Let alone now, probably not the best call, but at the time it was pretty funny. Everyone loved that character.
Do you remember what species you were?
Kenku.
Yep. You were a
Kenku.
Kenku. With the Ugandan Knuckles voice.
With the Uganda Knuckles voice.
Do you remember what happened? Or you definitely remember what happened.
Oh, I remember how. I remember how you took that
Yep,
off the
Tell
board.
the story then.
So what was the thing called that I
Mind Flayer.
Mind Flare? Everyone.
That's how all good D&D stories start.
Well, like the whole character, like I got to the point where I kind of believed that character would live on forever. That Matt would never really want to kill it off because that seemed to be the only thing bringing our friends together. Is everyone really loved that
That's
character?
really selfish of you.
I mean, hey, everyone seemed to love the character that I was doing, but I don't know why I thought that it would be fun that for my character just like go so far as I think I went up close. I had weapons, but instead of using them, I decided to run up and kick it or something.
Something like that.
I
yeah.
went up to like kick the thing just for fun, and it grabbed me with its tentacles.
With its face.
Yeah,
Yep.
and
And
I think I
ate
had a chance to save myself, but it failed, and then it like ate my brain. What?
Yeah.
What I should
You
now
pretty
what
much
I
get 2 rolls or you're dead.
Yeah.
what I now know I should have done is I should have lied of what dice I had, because Matt was on the other side of the room, so he couldn't have seen it. I could have just said like, "Oh yeah, nat 20, I'm out of there, I'm done."
You would have gotten away with
But
it. I wouldn't have
instead,
checked.
I was like a 10. I didn't even look at the die. I was like, it was like 10 or something. And then I died. And our other friend in the group, Britt, she wanted to try to bring the character back. So they did everything they could to try to find a way to bring the character back. So I brought the character back in my own way. I became a DM in all these other like holiday games. And instead I turned them into like a
Villain?
I turned into like a cinematic universe practically in D&D terms. So how it was is Knuckles in his death was so the way I explained, he was so memed that he couldn't die. So what really happened was his body was nothing, but his soul went off and he became a god. And now he's just pulling random people out of their lives and putting them into a sick game of holiday themed D&D by his will. And he was a character in it. So he would just show up and like guide the heroes to where they need to go. But
Sounds like you were trying to put a lot of thought into this.
I did.
You did.
So I've put so much thought into it that I'm in the process. It's been like a whole year thing, but I'm actually writing a D&D campaign that all ends with their characters that they all created are all gonna MCU style like Thanos versus the Avengers fight Knuckles to release themselves and let them go back on their date. But it's such a weird because Matt's like I think he's a high school girl.
Rob knows about this character.
Yeah, so it's like a high school
Yes,
girl.
I do. It's pretty great, actually.
Yeah, so like
But our listeners don't.
yeah, Matt, you want to explain the character?
Well, so this character, so for context, all of this stuff Ryan's talking about him DMing started with a one-off. We weren't planning to do any more after it. And so I rolled it just a joke character. And her name was
Stupid one,
Sharona, the high elf. Emphasis on the high. And she was a typical Valley Girl teenager who was also a fighter barbarian multi-class. And she walked around in her cheerleading outfit, I think.
Yes.
Tapping on a seeing stone that she called her eye stone on fantasy Twitter.
And where that seeing stone would go is anytime that I felt like it was convenient, I would allow that stone to do whatever I wanted it to do. So like at one point we turned into a ghost detector. So he downloaded a
Guys
crappy
started playing Ghostbusters.
Yeah, so he downloaded a ghost I had him download a ghost like hunting app that you would get like out of the app store, like a crappy shovelware.
My
And
God.
then I was like, yeah, it works. That it actually works. And at that case, he got his whole party killed, and he ran to my like god Knuckles, and Knuckles had to restart the universe because Schroeder got all of the party killed. And that's how it ended the campaign.
It was a TPK in progress, and Schroeder's response was to jump out the window.
Did you throw a couple of banshees at them?
No, I found there was like a Halloween themed story that I found like just by searching it.
Were all the creatures homebrew?
Yeah. And
That's why.
what I did.
Yeah.
And I
People suck at homebrewing stuff, dude.
Well, the thing is, I looked at the stats of the homebrew, and I was like, okay, I actually weirdly enough, I kind of was like learning D&D by not trying to learn it. I was just kind of like absorbing information.
Sure.
And after I looked at the homebrew, I was like, this thing's too weak. What I didn't know is, it was the perfect strength. I made it too strong to the point that it could just like one hit, and then I totally just wouldn't do anything. I would just make up what this thing could do because I felt like, it's a ghost. It wouldn't run up and smack someone in the face. It would just scare them. So I would.
My God. Do you want to? Okay. I've got a good story about a learning dungeon master if you guys are in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm into stories.
If my friend ever finds us, then, he knows he made a mistake, so it's fine. Like we meme on each other, and this is the story that always comes up. So we're in a campaign where we start with the adventure module, which is supposed to be a continuation of Dragon Heist, but it ends up becoming way more disappointing. After level 5, you start into the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, where you go into the yawning portal inside of one of the taverns, and a yawning portal is like this really large hole in the ground. And you essentially go into the next adventure book called the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, which is like 30 plus levels of dungeon crawling. It's insanity. If you like dungeon crawling, it's the best. If you think that you'll get tired after 5 floors, you will. It's really
Diablo
boring.
one, steroids.
But it's pretty crazy because each of the floors are very diverse, but the first couple are like kind of very samey, and they're massive. Like huge floors just filled with stuff. Hints about future floors, teleportation chambers, monsters, were-rats, like beholders, the whole 9 yards. It's
That's
massive.
too much. That's too
So
much.
we started the campaign at level 5, and we leveled up to about 6 or 7. And then the dungeon master was like, well, I like this, but you guys are way too fun, and you got so much stuff written in your backgrounds that I would like to use it. And I want to try doing homebrew. So long story short, he ended up coming up with a method for us to retreat back from one of our sessions to go back up through the yawning portal to rest. And he had instituted some sort of time dilation when we were in the chamber. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's slower, but we don't really know. Some kind of like Feywild, right? Or high magic sorcery to kind of protect the wizard, the dungeons, the mad mages like magic, right? But when we got out, we realized that everything in the time dilation was shifted. Everything was grayed out. It looked like it had advanced about a year, and the entire city of Waterdeep was smashed.
Okay.
And if you know anything about Waterdeep, they have some of the most powerful people that exist in that universe in that city.
Okay.
We're talking like they've got magic items called Blackstaff that can activate the statues in the city that will defend the city against threats. There's
It's like Atlantis.
minor spoilers, but there is a dragon in the lake that defends the city against underwater threats. There are some super powerful villains and neutral people that don't really have a lot of things besides their own selfish motivations to protect the city.
So Disney's
because
Atlantis. That's what you're like. It's Disney's Atlantis.
It's
If anyone's
kind of
seen
like
Disney's Atlantis,
it's like a central steampunk city, if I could say it more than that. But
Well,
he essentially said that there was like a crater filled with the body of a beholder that was larger than like 10 buildings. And we had to like pretty much figure out what the heck happened. And we didn't, and then he said that not only was all this crazy stuff happening at the time dilation, we didn't remember a lot of very important information. So our memories were starting to get sapped. So it was a wild experience of a session, and we were like really into it. And then after a while, he introduced a custom creature that he attacked us with when we were trying to like travel from one city to the next. We found like a lighthouse we were going to stay overnight in. And he threw not one, not two, but 15 harpies at us.
Well, I've never ran into harpies, so I don't know how.
So harpies have a song like a siren where they charm you and you go incapacitated, which means you're pretty much standing there dumbfounded looking at nothing.
Oh, okay.
It's a charm effect, but you can be immune to it if you pass once.
Oh, okay,
and
okay, cool.
He was hitting us with this song constantly, and he made it so that you couldn't be immune after the effect hit you. You'd have to keep saving against it. So he had 15 of them, right? So 2 or 3 of them, he could just literally take their turn off and continue the song. And then my wife was playing a bard who was smart enough to do a counter charm to give us advantage for the whole fight, but she pretty much sacrificed her whole turn, the whole game, to be able to do this so we wouldn't die. And then he said that not only this happened, but the harpies were large-sized, and they had 4 arms and 4 attacks, and juiced up their attacks by like 3 dice. So our barbarian took over 100 damage in one round from like 3 of them.
Oh my god!
Lucky enough for our group, we're all really good at playing, and I was playing a sorcerer who could roll fireball and twin spells and stuff. So I basically told everyone to group up, and I dropped the wall of fire around our group and then fireballed the out of them until we all somehow passed. And our barbarian, what the barbarian did I set one little section of the fire was open. So what the barbarian would do he would use her really crazy movement speed to grab 2 grapples. And then because they have a huge resistance to damage as a bear totem, would grab 2 of them and run through my wall of fire, vaporizing 2 of the harpies and then taking half damage.
Wow.
Sometimes a quarter if they made their save. But because if you pretty much get attacked by anything that's flying, it's difficult because the wall of fire is in the ground and it can't dome. So I'm just fireballing anything that comes near. My other friends have got like a warlock that has the push-pull mechanic with the Eldritch Blast. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's very utilitarian. And they were just pushing and pulling things through the wall of fire until anything happened, and they were just doing whatever they could to keep the harpies away from me. Because if I took damage and I dropped concentration on the wall of fire, we were fucked.
Wow, the highlight of my character was I fell asleep in a bush while the others were fighting because I felt like it. That's the highlight.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Well, like
I thought we were cool.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought that outside of that fight there might have been one more time, but I don't think out of any experience in Dungeons and Dragons I actively thought I was going to be able to just straight up die.
Wow.
And those are always those, depending on how either way, it's very memorable whenever that happens, because either you make it out of a harrowing situation or you TPK, and it's a great story either way.
Yeah, I put my players in through a ringer this week. Do you know what a Merilith is?
No, I do
don't.
not.
Matt, do you know what a Merilith is? It's a demon.
I might, but maybe not by name.
So they have a snake body, and the upper torso is usually of a kind of like a Xena warrior princess type thing, but they've got 6 arms.
Hello.
Oh, I think we did have this discussion because I think I remember you describing it that way, and then me asking if it's like a UNT.
Kind of like a UNT, but they've got 6 arms, and they can attack 7 times in a round.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They're CR 19 or 17, something like that.
And to clarify, CR is combat or
challenge rating.
Yeah. And it basically described whatever challenge rating, and then the number is what a party of 4 people at that level are expected to be able to handle. Just for anyone who doesn't know.
A party of 3 or 4 members are
3
supposed
or
to deal
4?
with it. Yeah.
Okay.
3 will be difficult. Relatively speaking, 4 should be able to handle it with relative ease if that's the only thing they're fighting for the day.
Okay.
So I've got 6 players, and they are level 11 or 12, I think. Yeah, I think they're level 11 right now. They just hit level 11. They did a couple combat things with I had basically 4 simultaneous events going on in a city that's under siege by gnolls, and other demons, and they have to choose how they want to deal with the situation when they've got something that's they've got gnolls closing in on them. They've got a cart with really weak enemies attacking the cart with a victim underneath of the cart, and they have to figure out how they're going to deal with the victim and or the enemies. Then the front of a church is being besieged by one of the largest demons, but it's also the furthest away from them. And then there's one other section where I think it was those three, and then there's maybe like one more little event that's going on. So there's 4 events happening simultaneously, and the players are really far away from the most dangerous thing. But there's a hyena attacking a dog by one of the statues in the city, and it plays on people's like general goodwill for animals, because they're kind of neutral. Yeah. You can deal with people. You're like, okay, well, they can die, but usually if players see an animal that's in trouble, that they'll bend over backwards for that sort of thing, especially if it's a domestic.
That's kind of real life, though.
It's very, yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Is like people will attribute that real life kind of danger to their fantasy environments all the time. I mean, I mean, how many times have you heard feedback from video games that have dogs and they're like, why can't my character pet the dog? It's like,
oh, that's a good point.
Really? Or, you want to have pets? That's what you're choosing to be upset about for the game?
In my game's case, it was a halfling that they all attached to.
Okay.
Do you remember his name, Ryan? You better. Brass. Do you brass what?
Yeah, Brass. I don't
Brass
remember.
Tacks?
No, I don't remember what his last name was. I just know the whole thing was that I stole that. My Knuckles character stole that. Like, Knuckles became friends with him, so it could be Brass Knuckles. And then later, I took that character out of that universe, so that Knuckles' future ended up being that Knuckles was married to Brass.
Yep.
Like they had a cottage, but I don't remember anything else.
Well, so during my campaign, every time you guys went to a new tavern, the first question out of your mouths would be, "Is Brass here?"
Yes, yeah. Where's Brass? That's right.
Despite being in a totally different town than the one you met him in.
You always tried to tell, like, no, Brass is here. It's like, can I bring Brass here? Can we bring him here?
And I wanted to bring him back eventually, but the campaign
did try
didn't
to
run long
trick you,
enough.
though. I remember in one playthrough, we went to a bar, and I said, "This like, can I roll a die? Because I think I see Brass at the end of the bar." And you're like, "Yeah, if you get a 21." So I rolled, not realizing, oh wait, I can't get a 20. But I was
screwed, dude.
So
that was perfect, Jan.
I was so excited when he said that. I was so excited. I just picked the dice up and roll it, and I actually got a 20. So I was like, wait a minute. So like, I remember that, but
I don't. I know. But
those are the best moments. Is when the player rolls a natural 20. They're like, okay, what's the total? Can't crit an ability check.
So, you have a -1 on stealth. That's a 19. Sorry, you can't crit on.
Their passive perception's 20. They see you, mate. Or worse, your rogue rolls a 35 in their stealth check because they got the boots of whatever it is, the sneak boots.
Kind.
And then my Merilith has 120 feet of true sight and teleports next to you and unloads.
Teleports behind you. Nothing personnel, kid. So before we rudely interrupted, you were talking about a siege with all of these monsters.
Yeah. So they pretty much fought these things, and then the Merilith shows up. And they've got a fighter that's heavily built off of the new stuff in this new book that just released about allowing fighters to use unarmed combat. So he's kind of like, he took a grappler feat. He can do a bonus action of punching if they've grappled somebody, and they can grapple people that are bigger. And then he's playing a rune knight, so he can get bigger as a halfling. So he can literally be a large-sized halfling, which is really interesting because they start small, so they grow 2 sizes as a halfling. And then start grappling stuff and punching them. So it's really cool because he's basically a shipwright that can do this. And then one of the other players is a paladin that's a Earth Ganassi with a whip, which is kind of cool. And then one of my other players is a rogue that had to take a deal after dying with Tiamat to be resurrected. And then I have another player that is a shadow stepping rogue, whatever that is, Way of the Shadows rogue. So they get some cool stuff. They can stun all of my and like hurt it really, really bad. Yeah, he's a monk. Is that what I said? Rogue. So. Sorry, no. He's multi-classed as rogue, but he's also a monk. And then I've got a bard that's
What's that?
Yeah,
Rob's editor's in
Carrie's
his
yelling
ear
at me in the other room. There's another player that's a bard and multi-class is a rogue, and he's really cool. He switched from College of Whispers to College of Eloquence, which is very interesting because he pretty much designed his character around zero combat. Like he's a skill machine. He also has I believe he's only missing like 5 or 6 of the total languages in D&D, like that you can learn. He has a ton of them. He took the linguist feat for specific reasons. He wanted to help that. He also took a bunch of spells that are very underutilized, like aid and heroism and just healing spells and resurrection magic. And then he took, because we're working on something behind the scenes that I can't even say, he took a spell called Steel Wind Strike with his magic, where he can basically use as a weapon as a component and activate the weapon and teleport and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, teleport. And then at the end of the thing, he can choose one of the targets that he hits and teleport next to them. It's straight up DBZ. Like you make 5 attack rolls with your magic modifier, not with your weapon.
It's instant.
And if you hit them, if you hit them, it's like 5 or 6 D8 damage per target. So you literally like teleport behind somebody, slash them, teleport behind another person, slash them, teleport behind another person, slash them 5 times. And if you miss, it's fine. You can just teleport to the next person.
Matt,
It's a 5th level spell. Or
For
6th
our
level
audio
spell or
listeners, as Rob is describing this, the look on Ryan's face is priceless as he sits here, mouth agape, staring at Rob with the most loving eyes I've ever seen.
because all I can see right now, because like the way that I'm retaining that information, all I can see is like you wouldn't get this because you didn't watch.
No, I
Dragon
wouldn't.
Ball, but I see like Super Saiyan 2 Gohan jumping and blowing up a bunch of Cell Juniors. That's the way I picture it.
Yeah,
it's just
that's
zipping
it.
around the Cell Juniors and just smash.
It's like
slicing
when,
them in half.
It's instant transmission with a weapon.
Yes, that's what I just said. Like it's
Well, anyways, they those players started attacking the Merilith, right?
Yeah.
So he grappled my Merilith and started punching, and I was like, okay. I mean, this thing's got a lot of hit points, right? So I'm like, whatever, dude, go for it. And then I don't have disadvantage to hit them. He just has them held. And the Merilith is like, okay, I'm gonna grapple you back, and he's like, okay. I was like, but I don't have to do a grapple check. He's like, oh, I just have to hit you. So I roll my dice to hit him, and I hit. And he didn't do anything to have me miss with a tail. So when the tail hits first, it's a grapple and a restrain. And in D&D, there's separate mechanics. In the mechanic for grapple, it basically sets their speed to 0, and then you can move with them.
okay.
And drag them around the area, right?
Yes.
Restrain means that all attacks against that target have advantage. So you can roll 2 dice and take
I
the
see.
higher result.
Oh.
I see.
So you do this, you hit them with the tail, you bludgeon them by crushing them by a little bit, and then I get 6 more scimitar swings on you with advantage. I knocked him to 0 and threw him away like a sack of potatoes.
Oh.
See,
Then the
that's-
paladin walks over to him in the next round, pumps like 40 health in lay on hands, and then the Merilith goes again. Walks over to the paladin, grapples the paladin, hits it 6 times, and throws it away like a sack of garbage.
I
And the
love that.
rogue drinks a potion and runs away.
So at least someone there knew what the right course of action
And then the
was.
next round, the Merilith is getting attacked by the rest of them, including the rogue. And they set up this massive plant growth where the players have to run through it with a 5-foot pathway because the Merilith is large, so they can't do it. They end up polymorphing their friend that took a bunch of damage into a giant ape, and I started carving through that for like a round just to make them feel like that was useful because it was the thing that was closest. And then I almost knocked that thing out as well in a single round because it has a low armor class, so it's not difficult to hit. It's just a sack of hit points. And then yeah, this is like a challenge sequence because they're trying to get like one of the this is like one of the transitional points to the finish of the campaign. So like this is very high cinematic situation, I guess you could say. But this is also just the prequel to the big boy that they just got at the end of last week or this week.
Well, that's
So
your prequel, huh? So that's the first. That's the thing.
Well,
to just
now
be
they
like,
have to
hey.
hold out against a god and defend a statue.
Oh my god.
The typical D&D. You start at level 3, you're like, oh, let's go help this person rescue their dog from a tree. Level 12, go kill God.
I mean, Jan, do you know who Yunagu is, right?
Then maybe.
I don't know how to spell that.
Yunagu is the god of the gnolls and savagery and butchery.
Oh, yeah.
The triple flail guy. Yeah, he showed up.
That's not ideal.
He's the Merilith's boss.
Yeah, that
The
is what
Merilith was
someone
the
would describe
champion
as-
of Yunagu.
See, I like mine.
Someone
Mine are
describe-
holiday themed. You just kill Santa in mine.
Wait, did we do that? Oh yeah, we did.
You killed Santa in mine. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Dude,
did kill Santa.
I think Steven ran a one shot at Christmas a couple years back when you were there, Jan, didn't he? Or maybe you weren't able to make it, but he ran one where you had to go into like Santa's workshop and there's a bunch of toy soldiers and then there's like Krampus is kind of the boss.
Yes. So
Maybe
it's the
I
same.
did.
I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
the
It's a
same
very
one.
easy thing to run and it's kind of fun.
Because the one that
Like
it
level
also
3, level
involves,
5.
yeah, they give you a chance to bake cookies for it. Like you can. I tried to bake.
You have a lot
cookies
of
for everybody.
options, but we wanted to go kill him. So it was fun.
And of
Which is
course,
always a good
because it's a
bet.
holiday one, I had to bring Knuckles into it. Because I think how it starts out is the characters start out in like a factory of like a big businessman, and he wants to stop Santa from delivering presents or something like that. I have to go. I can't.
We ended
remember
up
been
what
a
it
fighting
while.
some snowmen in the snow, which that was actually
Yeah.
pretty cool.
was. That's what
They were really neat. They're like clockwork snowmen. They throw snowballs and they hurt.
Yeah,
Oh.
that was
They
their
hurt.
first attack was the snowman outside of what I described it as, the hot gates from 300, basically that of all 300 snowmen.
There's a ton of toy soldiers though, and half of them aren't real.
Yeah.
They're just not made, which was really funny because they're walking in and they're like, okay, this one and this one. We're like, okay, but what about the other 200? Are any of these also active?
So-
Because there's a lot of them.
I changed that. I altered it to be they were like the ones that were not technically activated. They were just missing arms. So like
Okay.
you would walk
So
in,
they're just like wet noodle fighting.
yeah, so like you'd walk into the door, like into the workshop, and
Amazing.
there would be normal toy soldiers with weapons coming at you, and
Yeah.
then behind them
Yeah.
just like these limping, like freaking out like toys, missing legs and eyes and
Almost
half
like
their mouth.
Michonne's pet zombies from Walking Dead.
Yeah,
It's like Shaun of the Dead.
yeah.
Just toy soldier version.
Yeah,
Oh
I
man,
love it.
Ryan, my wife was playing a really funny character for this. She was playing a halfling that didn't bring a weapon, so they have only unarmed fighting, and all of her unarmed fighting was not with her fist. She headbutted everything. It was hilarious.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
She was like, "I'm gonna headbutt the snowman," and Steven's like, "All right, can I stunning strike with my head?" It's like, "Do you have that ability?" "Yes, I do."
Yep.
Headbutt, stun. That was awesome.
Oh
Bad
my
thing is,
God.
if I was running that, I wouldn't have even asked. I mean, like, you want to hit? You can go do whatever you want. Go ahead.
Go for it.
I wouldn't even worry if you
I
hit
mean,
it or
that's the
not.
best part about it. It says unarmed strikes. That means any appendage for you R-rated
Yeah.
D&D players out there.
It
Yikes.
is episode 69. Nice.
Hey. That's so nice. That sound is that from?
It's a British dude.
I
It's
don't.
the
That's
British
not
guy.
Captain Price, is it? That's from.
No, he's doing some vocal exercises for acting, I believe, in the video.
Oh, okay.
He's like talking about
But that-
scooping with something and like eats some kind of pudding or something like that and goes, nice, something like that.
Make the
okay.
sound, I dare you.
Nice.
Not with your soundboard, you yourself, Rob.
Disappointed!
No.
I thought it was
just
one of the
mouthed
characters from
what
Siege.
He did.
I thought it was the characters from Siege. One of the characters from Siege. There's one
No.
that has like an obsession with lasers, and one of his like player. One of the player videos just says freaking laser sights, but that
I
he
think
has
that's a
that
reference
same,
to Austin Powers.
Like the
sounds like the
neighbor's
same
kid.
voice. Yeah, like he sounds like the same voice actor. I'll have to find the clip for it, but
So is there anything else you'd like to cover, Rob, or joke about, or anything?
I mean, I recently the same DM that did this crazy thing has now since closed that campaign with the harpies. You know what I mean? So we've pretty much retired all of our characters. But we're starting a different campaign with a couple new members and removed a couple other people that weren't going to be available. And the Dungeon Master pretty much wanted us to come back into Eberron, which is a Magic the Gathering setting. Super steampunk heavy, where there's these things called Warforged, which are like metal people. They're really cool. And I've never played one. And I've always thought that they were cool enough to play. But I'm like, man, if everyone goes into Eberron, then you're just going to make a whole party of these things, and then it'll be boring.
Do it. That sounds like fun.
So, well, I told the DM, I was like, well, I mean, if no one else wants to play a Warforged, I'll be the person because I really want to do it. But I just feel like if you're going to go into Eberron, you know, like that's the big draw is like, who's going to be the person that gets to play the Warforged, or are we going to do a full Warforged group? Because they're that versatile. Like, you can make a whole group that does that, you know?
I recommend whoever does it has to make their character just looks like a giant teapot.
I'm a little
teapot?
Yeah, because it's a metal person, but like in the shape.
Well,
if it's all steampunk, I see. Like
I instead took inspiration from I instead took Marvel Cinematic Universe and mixed it with Piccolo and Nail. And I have made Iron Man with 2 people inside.
Oh, that's everything I ever needed in life.
It is a divine soul sorcerer multi-classed with a sun soul monk. And it's at level 8, and that's where you only need to really be about level 8 to start all of the crazy shenanigans. But at level 4, you can pick up a feat that lets you get more skills, and that's how I've necessitated that they absorbed another person. So basically, my character's backstory is they were the first created Warforged that were sentient. They go to the front lines, they do tests, he does strike teams, and now they've been doing repeat envoys to the front lines.
Yeah.
With his strike team. And his name is B.K1N, which is read to be Beacon.
Oh, that's clever.
And he's supposed to be, the one is actually relatively significant because it's the first squad, and he's model B, or the monk model, right? So that's kind of how I've sort of come up with some things. But the long story is that they basically go to the front lines because the people that were creating them have upgraded them. They've made new ones and better ones for the war. And they're trying to get them to the front lines for scrap so that they can deal with preserving their new models and hiding them. And so they're putting them to the front lines on suicide missions they're like, well, these models are great if they can get something done. Excellent. If they die, then no harm, no foul. And they're not really viewed as people. They're like troops that don't have a soul. So that's kind of how they're viewing Warforged. But in reality, we know that they're sentient enough to actually have souls, according to official lore. But they're kind of not in that space yet mentally. So they don't know that. So anyways, what ends up happening in the envoy, a sniper hits them from afar, hits the cleric by, I can't remember the name of the characters that I made up. But like, anyways, the character the cleric group got sniped. And so the tank started holding them off. They had a couple rogues kind of like deploy and a wizard. And then they dealt with the threat. And then now they actually have to walk all the way back. And for units that don't really have much of an issue with sleeping, this is not that big of a deal, but they're pretty much just going across a dead tundra to try to get back. And by the time they return to where this cleric is, that they can try to pick him up, Beacon picks him up, and something happens where their cores mix, and thus the Piccolo and Nail happens. And that's where he multi-classes as a sorcerer.
You won't get this
because
joke.
He picks up.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
I probably won't get the joke.
I would say you wouldn't
make
get
it
the
anyway.
joke, but you should make sure they have a conversation about where they put the pool table. I don't know if you
Ha 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 ha.
see. You don't, it's okay.
I
It's
don't get
okay.
it.
It's okay. It's okay not to be funny.
It's okay.
It's hard being as funny as me.
I know. I try to emulate you every day, Ryan. No, I don't.
You don't talk to me every day.
Do you want me to talk to you every day?
No. Go on.
So anyways, they end up walking back, and their cores are mixed, and they're like, okay, now we have to figure out what's going on. So they try to go back to their hometown, and their hometown's like a part of the area of the thing that happens mid-war, where this whole area just gets covered with this mist that kills stuff. It's just like a death mist. and that's where they go back to. They find this, and the war is pretty much ended by the time they can walk back, because it's taken weeks, right? Because they're just freaking in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
So when they finally get back, the war's over, and they're like, "Wait, so we're friends? We're supposed to be friends with these people now?" You know, so like I pretty much set up the character's backstory to be more or less like revealed in the first weeks that they meet other adventurers, and then just blank slate for the rest. They're like, okay, now I have to deal with this.
Wow.
Because it's not like a background where you're like, oh, this could come up again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of course, there's other members of my squad, but we all split up after this point because we're just trying to deal with the aftermath of whatever happened. In Corvair, which is the area, but it's essentially the character Sun Soul Monk has the ability to, or not Sun Soul Monk, is that right? Yeah, Sun Soul Monk. They can shoot radiant beams as an attack from their things for 30 feet instead of punching. And then the cleric side, basically absorbing the soul and getting a divine soul, he can utilize sorcerer origin stuff for twinning spells to split a spell that has a single target to 2 targets. Or he can use a spell, the called extended spell, where you can throw something that is like a touch spell. So if you wanted to like run over to Jan and do cure wounds on his character, on Matt's character, I would have to be within touch range. But I have this other ability that lets me change touch or 5-foot range spells to 30 feet. Or anything that has range, double it. So if I can hit them with a 30-foot sunbolt, then I can use my sorcerer magic to affect my monk ability because it's labeled as a magical attack. So I can make that 60 feet instead. If something's out of range, I can just be like, and like throw it way out there.
This really is like an Iron Man character.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's crazy fast because monks get ridiculous speed, as Jan will definitely be able to tell you. Like, they're insane.
Monks are nuts. Like,
because like I'm level 5 in monk and 3 in sorcerer, and I have almost 50 feet of movement.
yep.
Oh wow.
And
if I spend a key point, I can double it.
I believe if you have a tabaxi, I think you can add some from that. I forget what it is about them.
You can multi-class as rogue to get it as a bonus action for free. You can spend a key point to get it for a bonus action. Tabaxis can double it for a round. And then if you don't move the next round, you can do that again later. It's nuts.
Yeah,
and barbarians are just about as ridiculous because they just get it base like all the time.
Jesus.
Because but barbarians and monks don't get a lot of other things, right? So if you're not doing multi-classing and you're just solo class, you get nothing. You punch and that's it. Like
that's a big issue with barbarian is that you really don't get much in the way of multi attacks, which is why a really popular multi-class you'll see is barbarian and fighter, because fighter will give you a little bit more survivability along with some extra attacks.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Well, you do. That might have been previous editions, I think, is talking now, Jan, because they get about as many multi-attacks as other people. What barbarians don't get is armor. So they're really easy to hit, but if you don't go a specific route with them, that like totem bear, you get resistance to all damage except for psychic. Then you're taking a half only from like weapon attacks with your rage. If you do bear, you get half damage from everything that hits you, pretty much. Fire, ice, lightning, weapons, you just take half every time they hit you. As long as you're raging, you're gonna take half damage. And then if certain things hit you, you're just gonna take 0 sometimes, because you can even set up but like there's some weird rules that kind of help multi-classing really function properly. So a good example of this is if you're multi-classing in fighter and you're a barbarian, the barbarian's rage is specific to only allowing you to do that feature when you are not wearing medium or heavy armor, which sounds really like noodly as far as like what reasoning. But the reason is if you're wearing heavy armor, you can't really maintain the rage. There's no real lore reason, but the main thing is like they don't want you to have a super high armor class without committing your constitution bonus and your dexterity bonus to this, because if you have like rolled really good for your stats, barbarians are probably the best thing to pick. Barbarians and monks are probably the best too, because you need 3 super high scores to run a barbarian very effectively. You need constitution, strength, and dexterity, because constitution is your health, your hit points, and your armor class. Dexterity is your armor class and your ability to like dodge stuff. and then strength is your ability to hit them in the first place and hold heavy stuff.
And
right?
you don't have to be
So
the
if you,
fighter
if you can
thing
get
where
all
you
three of
wear
those,
big unstealthy armor. You don't have to worry about that.
you don't have to worry about dexterity if you can wear big armor. You're strong enough to hold this super big like armor piece, and you go clang, 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 clang.
So we should be wrapping it up here shortly. Is there
Okay.
anything you'd like to close with, Rob? Anything you want to plug?
Not particularly. I mean, we're kind of on hiatus for my podcast, more or less. Like we're only recording once or twice a month because Overwatch 2's news was that they're still working on it.
Oh, really?
Great, amazing announcement at BlizzCon. Here's what we're working on. It's not done yet. We're not even close. Good luck.
So no beta or anything?
Spent 45 minutes showing you some cool stuff that you can't have yet.
That's what I regret. I wish we would have been able to talk more. I wanted your take on the Pokemon event that happened, but I also kind of wanted your take on everything that happened at BlizzCon because I don't know if you played Diablo and stuff. I'm obviously like an Overwatch fan with like an Overwatch tattoo, and many Overwatch figures hidden somewhere in this house. So it's like, I wanted to get your takes on like the new looks of the Overwatch characters, but maybe for another time.
They look fine, but I'm not
that's-
playing the game for the way the characters look, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That sounds like a hook for another episode because then we can also talk about how Rob and I met because that was through Overwatch as well.
Yeah.
It was.
So it's a good hook to get him back.
Sure.
Please come back.
But if you want to listen to Rob's podcast, you can find it at
OmnicLab.com, or if you search the word Omnic Lab, strategic Overwatch in Google, you'll find it.
and where
If you search Overwatch podcast, it's going to be very hard not to find my show.
And actually, you want to know one of my favorite hoodies that I wear when I'm just lounging around the house is an Omnic Lab hoodie that I bought years ago. It's not in the
That
best
website
shape.
makes good stuff, man. I
Yeah.
still have the V-neck that I bought forever ago.
It's nice.
For all the listeners, you want to know how long it takes to find your podcast just by Googling Overwatch podcast. It takes less than a second. It's the first thing.
There
It's
you
the
go.
first thing that comes up.
Anything else? Twitch stream, Twitter.
Twitch stream is NotRobMay. I do stream very early if you're North American. It's going to be tough for you. You're going to have to be up at weird hours. If you work third shift, you can catch the streams, but I start currently. Well, next week, you guys are shifting to daylight time, so it'll be a little bit easier, but I will be plus 13 hours ahead of you, and I start at 7 Japan Standard, or that would be
I don't know.
4.
Or
It's either 5 or 6 a.m. Yeah, it'll be 5 or 6 a.m. 5 this week.
Now. So
7 would be 5 a.m. for you, Jan.
okay.
Or Matt, sorry. It's hard to keep things straight.
In
I call
case
you Jan
anyone can't tell,
on other locations.
my username is Jan Jinkle online, and that's how Rob tends to know me.
Yeah.
What about Twitter for you?
Twitter's just not Rob. You can find me there, posting about random stuff, usually just complaining to Niantic about their game being broken.
I can't confirm.
Or
yeah.
Overwatch, please, soon. Something like that.
Please, may I have one single Overwatch?
One token, please.
At this point, it's going to just be like you're going to get one map of Overwatch 2, and that's it. And then they're just going to release it later. They'll be like, "We'll come at."
I mean, they did say they're going to be opening the floodgates for communication, but I don't know what that exactly means because anything from before is nothing.
Yeah, well,
right. So
CD
anything
Projekt
more
Red
than
did
nothing
that.
is something.
CD Projekt Red did that too. Back
Ryan,
when
I understand that you feel like you wasted your money.
I didn't waste my money. I had a
But
great time with the.
I have
5
a question
minutes I
for
played.
you, Ryan. Where can the people find you?
Oh boy, Red Steak Ryan on Instagram and Twitter.
Red State.
Yeah, it's you would know more
Rob
about Red
knows the
Steak. Yeah,
throwback.
you know about Red Steak.
Oh, I do. I helped you guys with that stupid name.
yeah. Well, now it's my Instagram name, but
Excellent.
That's what that definitely next time we're gonna do some throwback stories with Rob.
for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, so check out my Instagram because I post. I'm in like a super big project right now of running through miniatures. I'm trying to paint a miniature, at least 1 to 2 miniatures a day. And already today it started as a nightmare because I was going to paint terrain for,
Is this for Warhammer?
I do it for Warhammer, and then I go on like eBay and get custom miniatures. So
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah,
It's like
so-
Kip Ash stuff.
yeah, so I go like people that make their own design. There's one that actually came from, I got it from the UK, which Matt, I don't know if you can reach her there, but I could put it up to the camera for you later. But that one girl with like the fox the foxtails. That's one I'm currently working on right now. But
Is it an Ari figure like from League of
no,
Legends?
so I think it's like it's roughly inspired, but it's just a custom like sculpt that somebody does. I'll give
okay.
I'll find links.
So they're not 3D printing them, or are they sculpting them?
No, so this one they actually 3D they sculpt it in Z-Desk, I think is what the program's called, and then
That sounds right.
and then they do it in they 3D print the resin figure and send it out.
Oh wow.
So
yeah,
that one I bought 2 of them because I wanted a test model to like test my skills because
to start. Yeah,
I've
to practice on.
I am so new to miniature painting that I started at the beginning of COVID. So I'm only a year in and like trying to watch my skill get better and better. But that one was like special because it came with like a card of like the character design that they came up with, the miniature and like a little like authenticity that this is one out of 139 or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, so like I paint those, but right now I'm painting Warhammer. I have an old Kill Team box. So I'm painting the
Sure.
today. If you want a real quick funny story, was painting the terrain, decided to use my airbrush because it's quicker. Airbrush kept clogging up, so I had to tear it apart to just clean it up more to figure out what was going on. And then I lost somewhere, I don't know how, but a part that I need like to go into the airbrush is gone, so I had to order a brand new one. So basically it's already going bad and I've just started doing day 1. So it's not going great, but you'll see like on Instagram me post new ones. I'm trying to figure out a way to stream it or like film little videos of me doing it, because
I used to do that when I was in high school for a small stage of my, I don't know, like I couldn't find a hobby or like some people to really fit in with, so I kind of picked up 40 or Warhammer regular, and I wanted to play Lizardmen, so I would read a bunch of books about Lizardmen, and we set up my ping pong table and did a round where it was mostly like figures with primer on them and like cardboard boxes to represent what I wanted to run.
Yeah,
because I was really into the strategy of them, but I was like, why do I have to pay $50 for like plastic? What the hell?
Yeah. Well, in this closet here, I have my pile of shame, which is every bit of like, I started a Dark Angels army, then stopped. I have Sisters of Battle that I just never opened and did. Just all this stuff I wanted to do, and then that's what made me be like, wow, I have enough to like paint for 3 years. Why don't I just do a daily paint every day, and I'll get through that box finally. So I
got bored after a while because I was just doing them in mass.
Yeah.
Because I had to do a whole group and I wanted to have the same color scheme, and I didn't want them to have my skill improving. I was like that guy. I was like, okay, well, my skill's going to be at this stage. So if I could just do this group as one unit, they'll all look at least uniformly bad.
Yeah. That's where it started with me, man. I was just like, now it became like an obsession to get better and better. And I love it. So
it's fun.
Yeah. So
it's fun.
Now I'm not, some stuff I'm going to follow like an army style, like any like my kill teams I'm going to, but most of the stuff that I have is just going to be me building it like, oh, I like blue and purple, I'm going to put blue and purple in this somehow, and they'll never look the same, but it'll be cool displays. So but yeah, so you find me at Red Steak Ryan on there, on Instagram, Twitter, Ryan Beatty on Facebook. I guess I never look. So
you're never going out there with your Facebook profile.
Yeah, and then
that's a first.
Yikers.
Twitch, I do a lot of Valheim right now, so
Ryan's doxing himself.
Yeah.
Oh my God. People are telling me that I need to get into Valheim, and my wife will probably like it, so I might have to break down and get it. It's got like over 5 million sales or some crazy number right now.
We got 5 million Vikings.
Carrie's like, I want to play a girl, and they don't let you do that yet.
This just in, Valheim is sexist. You heard it here first.
Yeah. Ah, man. Such a fun
They
game.
also only have 3 developers, so there's that.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
RimWorld only has 1, so.
Just beat the 3rd boss, and
and there's girls in that, so.
Just beat the 3rd boss, and I have one stream so far of Valheim, and I decided to call it Beat Your Elders because we were fighting a boss called the Elder. So
maybe I'll break down and get it this week or something. I've got like my schools are kind of going to be in transition, so I'll have a little bit more free time, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's a fun game to play.
If you want to
it's like $20.
Yeah, I think it's only $20, and it's a gig down. And I tell you what, 1 gig to download this game, and it has more content than a Call of Duty patch.
Matt, do you have it too?
No.
I tried.
Put too much time into Star Trek Online.
I tried.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, if you guys want to find our show, you can find it at Pop Culture Unboxing, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find me at Matt Ross VO on Twitter. Also, Jan Jinkle on Twitter and Twitch whenever I get around to doing that again.
Yeah. Episode 69.
69. Nice.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Rob, for coming on.
Yeah.
Here. We super appreciate it, man.
It's been great.
It's-
We'll
Of course, it was a lot of
definitely have you on again sometime because there's still more stories to tell.
If you
Yeah,
want,
maybe we can berate Zach together.
yeah, if you
That'll
want,
be fun.
just come all the time. I'll just kick this mic. This mic doesn't.
I mean, he doesn't
exist.
have to be here to berate, but it's definitely
True.
more fun that way.
Can we
This
all say a
mic
nice
doesn't
thing about
exist.
Zach?
I love Zach.
I do too.
I have long conversations with him.
I've never met the guy, so I'm all secondhand.
He's a great dude. He's a great
Just take
dude.
our word for it.
He's probably a man with 2 hands and 2 feet, so he's
That's
probably all
awfully
right.
presumptuous.
He's
of
probably
you.
going to be the guy that helps me start the podcast I want to run. I want to run a new podcast called The Human Conversation. Still working title.
Without
podcast.
Jan Jinkle.
Basically, I want to do like a
He
conversational
doesn't want me
podcast
involved.
where I like to talk to people because I can talk about movies and stuff all day, but I don't care enough about that. Like I
I
want
mean, if
to.
you want to talk about DBZ for like 2 hours, you know who to call.
I want to learn about people. I have like a. I don't meet a lot of people now.
Oh, that sounds boring.
And I like to learn and talk to people. I'm a weird dude, I guess, but
Yeah.
So I want to start a podcast where I bring random people and I just talk to them and just
Well,
talk.
That's cool.
No
Hopefully we'll be
subject.
able to see this out
Actually-
there in the world.
Have you ever heard? I don't remember if I sent this to Jan or Matt. I think I sent this to you. There's a YouTube feed that is my guilty pleasure for all of you at home. This is a plug for somebody that doesn't need it, but go to YouTube and search "all gas, no brakes," and it will be nothing short of a good time.
Okay.
All gas, no brakes.
While I'm
I'll put a
editing, I
link.
will find that link and put it in the show notes.
It is basically these guys are in a kind of a not an 18-wheeler but like a camper, and they just travel around with a camera crew to really weird events. Like they went to like Burning Man,
Ooh.
and they went to like a Marxist convention or something like that, and like they just walk around and ask people random things. And they went to like downtown Vegas during an event. I think they were going to like spring break. Like they were just like weird places, and he just walks around and asks people questions, and like he meets the wildest people. I think they went to like a Donald Trump's son had a book signing somewhere. Like they just find weird fringe things, and they just talk to people that are just absolutely insane.
Ryan's on board.
Oh, I'm all
Yeah, I
there.
will find a link and put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
In fact, I need to go see if they posted any new videos since the last time I went over there and rewatch a couple other ones because they're great. They had a Florida Man episode that is bar none the best thing you're going to see.
Oh boy.
Well,
We'll watch one together after the show because I got to show you guys this
Okay.
thing. It's
For
crazy.
sure.
well, yeah. So while Rob pulls that up, I will thank you all for listening and make sure to tell your friends about our show if you haven't yet, because word of mouth is huge for a podcast like ours. Thank you all for listening.
Yeah. Thank you so much. See you guys all later. Bye, Rob.
It's episode 69.
Hey, nice.
Say bye, Rob.
See you later, everybody.
Bye, everyone. I love you.
I forgot what I normally say.